Hey everyone, and welcome to Liquid Liner Notes, a podcast that brings you interviews from the beverage and music industries. I'm your host, Danny, aka Hip Hops on Instagram. For this week's episode, I have the owner of Vines and Vinyl, a boutique vinyl and plant shop in Brookfield, Illinois, Dylan Kloska. Dylan, thank you for taking the time to be on.
Hey, that's me. You're welcome, man. Thanks for having me.
So Vines and Vinyl, I was doing a little bit of research on you, and this sort of started during the pandemic.
Yeah, for sure.
And you, what made you decide? Have you always been a fan of music and plants, or what made you decide that you wanted to...
for sure. Like, I'm in a band now. I've been playing in bands forever. I've always had a pretty decent record collection. I'm from Chicago, but for 4 years I lived in North Carolina.
Okay.
And I worked in a record store. Just kind of like that was my random job down there.
What part of North Carolina was
Wilmington, it was like right on the ocean.
Okay.
My sister, I followed her down there. She, my brother-in-law owns a surf shop in Wilmington, like right on the beach. So it's like ukuleles and surfboards and Vans, shoes. Like it's just a cool vibe. So they moved down there and I followed them. And I was in a band with my brother-in-law for a while. And when I moved down there, the job I got was at a record store. So
Nice.
I think that planted the seed probably like 2016.
Nice.
And it just grew from there for sure.
And what kind of instruments do you play? If I don't know.
Primarily, I'm a guitar player and singer, songwriter. If it's got strings, I can play it.
Nice.
I can play very basic drums, but I'm sure my drummer now would say that's not true.
I would laugh at you.
Yeah, you can't play anything at all.
Yeah.
Just a music. I love all types of music, and I've been a musician. I come from a musical family. My siblings, my parents, we all play instruments, so we have like campfire jams and all that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I have like no musical ability, so I envy anyone who does. So this all started in the pandemic. I know that you had mentioned to me you were working in breweries before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the most part, yeah. Most of my 20s, I bartended, worked at breweries.
All right. So what kind of breweries would you work at?
I lived in North Carolina for a handful of years, a couple years before the pandemic, and I moved back here and started working at Crystal Lake Brewing.
Okay.
Which my dad's like a mug club member out there, and my parents live out there.
Yeah.
So my dad's got like the shirt and the jacket and all the hats, and he's got his own special mug there. But right when I moved back into town, it was convenient. They were looking for a bar manager, and before that, I lived in like Logan Square forever. Yeah. And I just bartended and worked at a bar manager at random like real bars.
Yeah.
But the brewery world's, I like it. And I do think it kind of equates. It's kind of similar to like my vibe here. Like you go to a regular bar and there's a million tap handles and all the liquor and $2 Coors, $2 Millers, whatever. But at a brewery, it's like, we only have the 8 beers we make. It costs a little bit more, but we curate it. We made it. And that's kind of the vibe here. Like I don't have 1,000 records.
Yeah.
But like every record I have here, like I picked out. Like I curated the selection. Yeah. So it's kind of the same vibe. Like you walk in knowing like it's a smaller selection, but it's a very mindfully curated selection.
Yeah.
Like when you come in and talk to me or my part-timer Justin, who's drummer in my band, like we love all the records we have here. We can go like into detail of like, you know who plays bass on this record? You know who produced this record? Like we nerd out about it so hard, which I think is one of the cool things about vinyl is like, it's tactile. You hold it. You look. When you streaming is great for. I listen to Spotify all day long.
Yeah.
It's great for discovering new things or finding random things or like, this is brand new. The record's not out yet, but here's the music. But the cool thing about vinyl for me, you hold it, you look at it, you read the notes, then you start learning names. Like for me, it's like I got into jazz 10 years ago. I was like, ooh, Ron Carter. If Ron Carter's playing bass on this record, I know I like it already.
Yeah, you're gonna buy it. Yeah.
I'm there. Yeah. And my part-timer Justin's the same way. Like if Jeff Porcaro's playing drums, I know it's going to be good because he's him,
Yeah.
So I love that about holding records and looking at liner notes. And I think it kind of equates the same to breweries. Like we can get Miller Lite and Coors Light and PBR everywhere, and they're great. Yeah. But like, oh, that's such and such. He makes those beers at that place, so whatever that guy makes is going to be good because it's like an elevated profile already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of like an artistic expression. It's not like a commodity like some of the
for sure things are. And you're gonna follow that person around because you're a fan of that person's product. Yeah. From beer to beer, record to record is kind of the same thing. So I worked I was the taproom manager at Crystal Lake Brewing for about a year. Then I moved back into the city, opened up another brewery, kind of like a Fulton Market, West Loop area in that brewing corridor.
Yeah.
But then COVID happened, and everybody had to shut down, and COVID was wild times for sure. But in that first wave of shutdown, I was alone in my apartment all the time. And like my only real collections or belongings were like my record collection and my plants.
Yeah.
So, there was a wave of COVID, like you can go back to work. Now we're off work again. Everyone's laid off. Now we're back to work. It was that whole wave. And like the only constant was like, all I keep doing is like growing my plants, propagating plants, and getting more records. And like we had like our little bubble of like my little group of friends. Like we all stayed at my place during shutdown, and like all we did was like cook good food, play records, and I would like brag about my plant collection.
Yeah.
So like that was kind of the genesis of like, I don't remember when it was, but like maybe halfway through the pandemic or the shutdown, like a light bulb switched on. And I was like, shit, man, like all I do is records and plants. I don't want to bartend anymore. Like, especially during a pandemic, like, have people spit their orders in my face or like all the germs and whatever.
Yeah, so unpredictable. And
that
too.
Too many wild cards, too many variables, and bartending's great. It's cool money. You meet cool people. The money's usually pretty good, but I think when you zoom out in the pandemic lens and look at like what are your priorities as a person, it wasn't that anymore. Like what are my passions? Like I don't ever want to go back to work for somebody else. I feel like I can make somehow like plants and records just made sense to me.
Yeah, it's awesome when people are able to take like a passion and then turn it into a business, like an entrepreneurship that we can make a living off of.
Ideally, yeah. It's a slow burn for that, but it's real. Like, I'm 37. It's like the older you get, you have enough other bosses. Like, that guy's all right, or she's okay, but like, what you see some chinks in the armor, it's like I don't want to work for this company anymore, or like their values don't really align with me, or like the older I get, like if I'm gonna like slave away and work for somebody doing something I don't care about, I may as well try to strike out on my own and like I care about me.
Yeah.
I believe in this product,
Yeah. I mean, it's something you're passionate about and able to speak on, like you were saying about, you know, identifying which players are on different instruments on an album.
Yeah, that's like a lifelong passion of mine. So like, why not try to make a living off like what your real passion is, And
so I'm 36, and I have to say, I grew up in like the CD era, which I'm sure you did too, and like that was like liner notes, which the name of the podcast is Liquid Liner Notes, because I loved looking at the books and like reading just even the thank yous and stuff like that and that stuff. So I loved looking at all that. But your experience working at breweries and bars, sort of just watching your Instagram, turned into doing pop-ups at different breweries, like during 2001 or 2020. Sorry, 2021.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was, I guess, alluding to, of like when you walk into a brewery versus like your local dive bar, you already know you're walking in like you're gonna spend a little more money.
Yeah.
Like this craft beer costs more than a macro beer, so I feel like it was always, breweries were a really great setting for me to do pop-ups, because people are already going there knowing they're not just getting the daily special. They're going there to spend some money and support a locally made thing. Yeah. So I was able to kind of like parlay that, like, hey, while you're here drinking this locally made craft product, I'm around too. I grow all these plants. I put them in my own vessels. I do my own soil blends. But also every music, all this stuff you're hearing, like I made the soundtrack. Like I made a playlist for today for you to come here and drink at the brewery. And like the vibe you're hearing and experiences, like I'm kind of helping facilitate that.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm sort of a testament to that, but there's a good crossover in terms of the people who go to breweries are into music, or they're into houseplants and stuff like that. So
because it's they're kid friendly, it's family friendly. You can bring your dog. You hang out at a brewery longer. They usually, I feel like the city's its own animal, but in the suburbs, when you get further away from like metropolis, you do kind of lose some culture and vibe a little bit. Yeah. But I feel like breweries are always really great. Like they're their own. Every town that has a brewery, that's a cultural hub. Yeah. Because they do not only just my kind of pop-ups, but like they do makers markets. Yeah. Or food trucks. The breweries are great at like, we're a gathering place where everyone is coming here specifically to like support this community.
Yeah.
So it was very easy to like walk into that door and help expand, like, because it's a two-way street. Like, I want to do pop-ups at a busier brewery, but a brewery also needs to attract people like me to make them become a busier brewery.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's very symbiotic.
Yeah, symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. We during the pandemic, we drove down to Florida, which is where I'm from, and my family, all our family's still there, my wife and I's, and so we weren't flying because of the pandemic, and we have the small kids, and so we would stop at breweries because it was like that was like somewhere we knew where even if we were in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, or in the middle of nowhere, Georgia, like that was like an area where we felt like we could trust and feel safe, and they had a lot of outdoor space and family friendly, and like you said, so I love that about breweries. That's good.
I think we're in a good era. Every couple of years, like I guess I've been working adjacent to breweries for almost 10 years now, and every year there's an article like, is the bubble gonna burst? Are there too many breweries? And like, there's not. Like, it's
we are starting to see a lot of closures, and it's
there are a lot, but like it's one of the oldest
so
professions in the world is to be a bartender.
Yeah.
So why not support a place that's you're not just being a bartender, you're a craft bar. Like, it's a higher, not bartenders at normal dive bars are talented too, and I hope they make all the money in the world. But it is a higher skill set of like, no, you're going to this local community's brewery.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to be nicer, and you know your kid can hang out. You know the dog you can stretch your legs, whatever. You're not just going to some weird like daytime drunk bar.
Yeah.
Where definitely kids are welcome.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about what you're going to see.
Yeah, you don't have to mind your P's and Q's or whatever.
So I have to say, I don't know if you did a pop-up there or if it was just his idea, but I got to give a shout out. So I'm just going to call him Chef Zach, but he owns Duke's. I think it's Duke's Ale House.
Yeah, for sure.
So up in Crystal Lake, it's just right by Crystal Lake Brewing.
Right in my front yard, yeah.
He had reached out to me a while ago asking if I wanted to do like a DJ set, which I don't have. I just have a belt drive turntable. I don't have the equipment to do like a set like that. But I went out there to eat because my wife and I are vegetarians. They're very environmentally friendly and you know all that like there. So I wanted to go check it out. And while I was there, I was talking to him, and he was like, "You got to check out this Vines and Vinyl." And that's how I found you originally on Instagram. And he was like, I'd love like sometime to have like Vines and Vinyl do a pop up here, and like you can do like the DJ set or like that kind of thing. And so it was like,
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
because I live out there right now. No, Zach is super cool, and my best friend on the planet, Dominique, he lives in Montreal now, but him and his brother are chefs at Duke's. They're about to open a new place too.
Oh,
it's more like farm to table. I think they're going to be in Woodstock. The Crystal Lake one's still going to exist.
Yeah.
But they're like about to open up a new one that's like a little more highbrow or like fancier plating and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like all vegan. It's like a little more highbrow is the wrong word, but like just
upscale. Yeah.
A little more upscale, like intuitive place.
Yeah.
Zach's the fucking coolest. I love those dudes. Duke's is one of the places. I went to high school out there. Like they're one of the few local venues in that area that would book original bands, not just cover bands.
Yeah.
They've been doing that forever, and the food's good.
Food's really good. Yeah, and good tap list for.
It's also similar to the brewery concept of like, you can get a cheeseburger from wherever, but when you get one from there, like you know the farm the beef came from.
Sustainable.
Or if you're a vegan, like they do have a great vegan and vegetarian menu.
Yeah. And
they care about it.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of the same thing as like a brewery world. Like it's a craft experience. It's not fast food. It's not casual. It's not Applebee's.
It's like it's done with intent.
For sure. It's mindful. Everything about it is mindful.
Yeah. So when did you decide to take it from doing pop-ups to trying to find a brick and mortar?
I looked forever. I spent most of I've been back in Illinois 5 or 6 years. I lived in Humboldt Park the whole time. I love Humboldt Park. I love the city. I'm a city guy. But rent and competition, it's crazy. Like, I looked for about a year while I was doing pop-ups. I looked all around the city trying to find, does this neighborhood work? Can I afford this little storefront? But every time the hurdle would be, you can not really afford it, but there's also a really great plant store around the corner or a huge record store around the corner.
Yeah.
But then my brother and his wife had lived in Brookfield the last 10 or 12 years probably. And they always, as your in-laws will do, like, oh, come out and come to Brookfield and come hang out with us here. It's more than just the zoo or whatever. And I kind of poo-pooed that for a while.
Yeah.
But then I just started looking at like just Craigslist and real estate websites, whatever, like trying to find retail space. And I feel like my timing is great. Brookfield, we moved in August of 2022. And rent's really cheap. My landlord's super chill. He lets our band plays here. He let me paint the floors and the wall, all the funky colors. But the rent's really cheap, and just coincidentally and conveniently, there haven't been a record store or a plant store in Brookfield in like 10 years. Yeah. There was a plant store around the corner that didn't make it through COVID. So that kind of stinks for them, but kind of great for me.
Yeah.
And there's not a record store, I think, within like 10 miles.
Yeah.
And Brookfield supposedly is they changed their ordinance last year for downtown Brookfield. So like Prairie here and Grand behind us, right by the train station, all new retail or all new leases have to be retail only. So like insurance, lawyers, travel agents, they have to go like to a different part of town. So all new leases going forward, it's supposed to be shops.
Yeah.
And Brookfield doesn't do chains.
Oh, I
so like it doesn't really affect me. Like Best Buy doesn't do music anymore. Like there's no more Tower Records, but we got the candy shop down the street. Like if Fannie Mae opened, they'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But Brookfield doesn't do chains. So like they're very pro small business, which has been great because we've done a couple block parties already and like food trucks, and I do music here all the time. And if people do complain, I don't hear about it. Which is great. They kind of let me do my thing. So I chose Brookfield mostly just to be closer to my brother and his kids and do the uncle thing. Yeah. But also like Brookfield's very friendly towards small business. And like I don't come from money at all. So like every penny I can save like really makes a difference.
That's awesome.
And they're cool about it.
And I love the setup of your shop. You were just talking about how you painted the walls and he let you paint the floor and everything. And it's a really cool vibe. You got like the front room when you come in is all the plants. Yeah. And you have like some goods or wares. I don't know what you would call it. Like some of like the candles. I call them goods.
Yeah. Goods. It's records, plants, and goods.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go into the second room and you have like the sound paneling. Yep. Is this where the bands play in this room?
Yeah. The middle room, the record room is the band room. And like my band, we rehearse here, we record here. Like we track all our drums here. But also like they're pretty high ceilings for they're higher than normal ceilings. But it's nice because like my neighbors, there's a post office across from me, bars behind me, and nothing either direction after like 5 o'clock. So it's a nice little spot for us to be like a little weird cultural hub, and we're allowed to make all the noises and smells we need to make. Yeah. The later into the night it gets, and like, I think we're doing good for the. It always sounds pretentious, but like, I feel like we're doing a cool thing for the community. Like, if you write your own songs, or if you're like behind you, I got these watercolors. Like, we do art parties, we do watercolor workshops, local bands play here, songwriters play here. Like, it's a good little hub of like, if you do your own thing and you're an original creator or artist, or trying to get into that world, like, come try it here. Like, it's a small space. If you're a songwriter or a DJ and you want to play a set here, if you draw 12, 15 people, it's gonna seem like it's full. Yeah. And it's like it's low pressure. Like, and like, I don't give you a hard, like, if you want to book your band here, like, I don't have a, like, you better earn this much money or you're in trouble. Like, I'm not about that life, Yeah. And I feel like in the suburbs, that's a rare commodity. I think suburban bar owners and suburban music venues, it's always kind of like, how many versions of Jesse's Girl can you play? Or, can you play Morgan Wallen for 3 hours in a row? Like, no shade to them. Yeah. That's fine. Like, people like that for sure. But not everybody likes it. Yeah. And in the suburbs, I think it is hard to find, like, a place where, like, where can original people get their footing? Yeah. Like, it's here. Yeah. Like, come do it here.
That's awesome. I feel like, so, I mean, Brookfield's obviously known for the zoo, which, just to shout out, if you are at the zoo, it's like less than a mile away from here. And it's straight down Prairie from the zoo. Yeah. And, but I feel like you're bringing people to Brookfield from the surrounding areas that maybe wouldn't think to come downtown here. So last time I came here months ago, but I was walking around and I think I went into I think I went in the candy shop. I went in the candle shop next door. The coffee shop that was to the left down here. I don't know what it was called, but I know.
Gosha's.
Yeah,
Gosha's coffee shop. They're great.
So I walked over there. I was just kind of checking out the area, and I've only ever been to the zoo in Brookfield. So I think it's awesome what you're doing for the community here. And I feel like you were mentioning all the pop-ups and everything like that, and I feel like it's kind of cool because that's how you got your start, that you're open to sort of like giving back to that concept or that idea.
Oh yeah, totally. Because it's hard. Like if you don't have like the startup capital or whatever financial backing some people are afforded and some people aren't, it's really hard to like even just to start your project.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of creative people or people who have great ideas, but what they don't have is like the means to make that idea a reality. So now that I wouldn't say I paid my dues super hard. I did pop-ups for like 2 years. And they were great. Pop-ups rule because you always go to where there's already people.
Yeah.
So you're going into a good environment already to try and make some sales or meet some people, get your name out there. But that next step is tough. And like luckily for me, like I found this space and it is pretty affordable. And it seems like Brookfield is kind of transitioning from like more the older demographic, but now there's like a new wave of like new parents coming in.
Yeah.
Like we're the same age. Like people our age are a little younger who like you've got some kids now. You're gonna move from the city because you did the city thing for a while. But the first things people miss about living in a hip neighborhood, record stores, plant stores, coffee shops.
Yeah.
Like the further you get into the suburbs, it's all just like Chipotle's and whatever's, you know.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
You miss like but there used to be this great place on this intersection. Like I kind of want to be a little bit of that, but also helping other people like. Every Sunday here in the shop, we do pop-ups for other craft vendors.
Yeah.
Like jewelry makers or vintage clothing or whatever. Like
you have like a tattoo artist coming tonight.
Yeah, December 2nd, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Is that
tonight we got a watercolor class. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But same kind of thing. Like I always kind of want to be like, now that I've got the space, because I think like I've gotten in trouble on Facebook before for calling out boomers, but like there's a whole thing of like boomers kind of like got in and pulled a ladder up behind them.
Yeah.
And like no one else could, like they got to go to school for free. College was cheap or
housing was cheap.
Housing was cheap. It was a different world, you know?
Yeah.
And not, for whatever like the political BS of why or how, reality is still reality. In 2023, that's not the same thing. So for me, it's like now that I have the shop, I have the space. Of course, like you want to do some DJ sets, let's do it. You got like you make your own jewelry or whatever. You can do it here.
Yeah.
Like it does take a village, you know? And I'm a big advocate of like, you need to bring your crew or your people in your scene with you. And it helps make your scene bigger and bigger. So like, why would I shut the door behind me? Like I finally got this spot.
Yeah.
It's a small shop, but we do what we can. Like, but of course you can come set up your pop-up here on a weeknight or a weekend or whatever. You want to be an art teacher? Come do an art class here. You want to do your singer-songwriter stuff? Come do it here. Like, we've got the room, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I already got it, so let's do it.
So tonight's like a kind of like a BYOB sip and paint kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, for sure. Tonight is BYOB.
Yeah.
And in general, like, I think my whole vibe of when we do events in the shop is always BYOB and it's always DIY.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you and me are making this thing. Let's collaborate and make it as cool as you and me need it to be. And we don't have to worry about like, oh, we got to ask corporate if we can do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, did we get approved by HR? Like, that stuff doesn't matter in this world, you know?
Yeah.
In this environment. So I think it's just a cool, it's just worth it to me. Like, I needed this kind of space when I was starting. And I played in bands forever too. So like, you need to always find your venues.
Yeah. Like
some places will just book you to play music, but they want you to play X amount of hours of the Morgan Wallen stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep picking on him, but whatever. But then you need to find places like this where like, no, there's that one little DIY spot in Brookfield. Like if you're a band on tour, maybe you can't get a gig in the city. But like, we're not that far from the city.
Yeah.
You come play here. You can sleep here if you need to. Like, we'll pack the place for your band from Iowa or Mississippi or whatever.
Yeah.
Come play here. It'll be a cool experience for you, and we'll hype it up like we really care about you, because like we do, you know.
Yeah.
I come from that same world, like just DIY and pop-ups and like I'm not a punk rocker, but like kind of like the punk rock ethos. Like we got to do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because like no one else is going to give us this opportunity. But like now I got that little sliver of like I can provide some opportunity. So fuck yeah, I'm going to do it.
I love that, like, that mentality. I want to jump into plants. I want to get back into the record stuff, but just a couple quick things I was going to ask. So you had mentioned earlier, and I read in an article, I don't remember which site it was on, but you're doing your own soil blends and everything. Because I know different soils, like you want to have more nitrogen in this or more whatever. But how did you just get into that through like YouTube videos, or how did you get into that?
Probably a little bit. I definitely do watch a lot of videos like, here's how I propagated this plant.
Yeah.
And Instagram for sure. I follow a lot of plant influencers.
Yeah.
No, I just, when you go to, when you buy plants from like a Home Depot or like those kind of big box stores, Lowe's, whatever, they have cool selection for sure. And like they're big box, so they're always cheap. So you can get like a cool fancy plant for pretty cheap. But I also feel like it's one kid's job who works at Home Depot to like hose all the plants down once a day.
Yeah.
And, most plants don't want that. Like, every plant has its own care technique.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like when you buy stuff from those big box kind of stores, they normally just pack everything in like either just straight up dirt or like peat moss.
Yeah.
But they overwater it. Like, they give every plant the same blanket treatment. So the best thing you can always do if you watch plant influencer videos is you got to repot it. Like, take it out of that pot, hose off all the dirt, and repot it in your own thing. So what do I call it? The Vines and Vinyl Custom Happy Soil Blend or something. I think that's what it's called. It's just all the like the additives that a healthy plant would have anyway.
Yeah.
So I sell them like in quart-sized jars. And you can probably get like 2 plants worth out of that. But it's just an add-on. It's like it's another thing. Like when I repot plants here, that's what's in all my. Like when you buy a plant from me, it already has that blend in there.
Yeah.
And I try to do, for the most part, they're like unique one-off vessels. I upcycle a lot or repurpose.
Yeah.
So like instead of just a plastic pot or a ceramic pot, it's like, here's a cool cow mug, or here's
tea kettle. I saw
a tea kettle. Yeah. All that kind of stuff. So like, I want people to walk away like you have the only plant that exists like that.
Yeah.
You have a one of one. You got it from Vines and Vinyl, but the only one who has this tea kettle is you got it from me.
Yeah.
So I put that soil blend into those.
Do you go out looking for like those types of cool pots?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a lot of thrifting, trying to find like unique vessels for sure.
Yeah.
But that's just like, I guess, kind of my aesthetic, or like, I have an older sister who like always had cool apartments throughout college and stuff. Like, where'd you get this? Or she had doors, beads on the doors, or would burn incense. Like, just kind of like whatever that hipster aesthetic.
Yeah.
And like it made an impact on me. It's like, why would we all want to have the same plain Jane plastic pot when you could have a cool cow mug with a plant, or a tea kettle, or a salsa jar, whatever. Like that way, like it's a one of one. Like this is your plant that you have. It's not like your neighbor's plant from Home Depot.
And I love the idea of propagation, because that's sort of like economically, that's like awesome for you, because you can kind of take one plant and make multiples out of it.
Yeah, for sure. A good amount of the plants here I propagate myself, and then I guess you can also get into like, is it are all these plants ethically sourced, or like where do they come from? Like how much of a burden on the environment do these Home Depot plants cost? I care about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody does, and I'm not like a warrior for it, but I'm aware of it. Mm-hmm. So like that kind of thing is when I reuse a salsa jar, or pickle jar, or a teapot or whatever, it's like it's gonna be in a landfill otherwise. So like, what if we could repurpose it?
Yeah.
Like any kind of like single use plastic thing you can get double use out of is a win.
Yeah. No, totally. Yeah, I love that, because trying to be environmentally conscious, I'm about that life too. So I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I just got to see you in action. Yeah. Somebody just came in looking for plants, but yeah, no, it is awesome getting to see you. You're like, okay, this one needs this watering and this one needs this light. The guy wanted a low maintenance plant, which is pretty much all of them here, you were saying, but it's awesome that you know enough about each of the products that you have to where you can like tailor that, like you were saying. It's
I don't know if it's my experience as like a consumer, but it's just very important to me, like to never be like, I'm kind of a hipster, but like it's never fun when you go to a place and like the employee is so much cooler than you, or like knows so much more than you, and like you feel like you're stupid for even walking in.
Yeah.
So like I do try to, by design, all the plants I stock here are super low maintenance, really easy care plants. Like the worst thing for me, if you've never been here before and you come in once and buy a plant and it dies right away, like, oh, I went to that shop once. He sold me a shitty plant.
Yeah.
So like I try to make it like, here's something like, even if you're not a green thumb, like this one's so easy, just follow, like here's 2 directions.
Yeah.
Just follow those directions. The plant will be fine. But it's kind of the same thing with music too. Like we were talking about Taylor Swift earlier. Like I'll order all the Taylor Swift records you want.
Yeah.
Whether or not like it's my favorite deal is irrelevant. Like I'll never make someone who comes in here feel bad about liking what they like.
Yeah.
Like that's my job. Like of course I can get that. I'm a record store.
Yeah.
What record do you want? I'll get it.
Yeah. It's like. Yeah.
But ideally, like, so maybe I'll sell you a really low maintenance cactus.
Yeah.
And then like a couple months later, like, hey, that cactus is doing great. What else do you have? Like, cool. I built that trust with you. Here's another plant. A little harder to work with, but here's another thing. But same with music. Like, you bought Taylor Swift from me 6 months ago. Come back and get the new one, whatever. But if you like that, maybe you'll like this kind of obscure Japanese city pop record that kind of sounds like Taylor when she sings, but it's not something you've heard of. But like, you got to build that trust or like establish that relationship with people.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just not a gatekeeper. Like come in and like let me help you get. I want to be like the person who helps you like start your passion.
Yeah.
No, here's your first plant. Here's your first turntable. Here's your first record. And once you get that, you always know forever. Ideally, I'll be here forever. Like come back and see Vines and Vinyl. He's gonna always steer you in the right direction. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's like some of the best stuff is when you go in and you get a recommendation from someone who's working there.
For sure. Like, and you get to know people too. Like, whether it's me or my part-time dude, like he's got his own taste too. But like it is a relationship building thing. So like, ooh, I know you've got all these east-facing windows. You need this kind of plant. Or I noticed that you like this whatever record before. You know who you might dig because you like that? Produced by the same guy. Or like this guy, we were talking about liner notes. Like, this guy's on that record too. And like that's how you just build relationships and build like a trust factor. And like, of course I can help you find new cool shit. That's my vibe. Yeah, that's my passion.
With the records, would you say you're about like a 50-50 new and used, I'd say?
Yeah, for sure.
And do you how do you go about getting your used records? Do people reach out to you or do you try to find places?
I feel like it's an evolving thing. When I first opened the shop, I was only new records.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to mess with used. It's competitive. Everyone thinks they've got like the original pressing of whatever. Everyone like too much Pawn Stars or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thinks they're going to be a millionaire because they've got some
original Thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was new forever, and when I was doing pop-ups, it was easier because I just come to a brewery. Like I've got 2 crates of like new hipster indie shit, and it's great. And you either get it or you don't get it. But I had less invested because it wasn't my shop. I was just going to the people. But since I've had the store, the longer I've been established, the more people come out of the woodwork. And like yesterday, Brookfield Library gave me a big stack of bluegrass records. It's like, oh, we heard you were in town. Here's some stuff.
Yeah.
So that rules. Or like people come out and just once they know I'm here, I start getting more and more used offers. I don't go hunting a lot for used stuff. I will eventually like keep building that inventory because I feel like people do like to like flip through used records more.
Yeah.
And then the problem with new records for me at least is like I love music so much. Like I have my own weird, diverse taste, and maybe not the most universally appealing.
Yeah.
So like this is some cool Japanese psych band from the '90s that I like. You never heard of them? Like.
Yeah.
So when I first opened, I was a little maybe too obscure, like too much of a niche market. But now it's like, yeah, you know what always sells is Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh yeah.
Everybody likes Pink Floyd, and like I gotta check my own ego sometimes. Like don't be like a hipster weirdo. Like everybody likes Tom Petty.
Yeah.
Stock Tom Petty. It's cool. Everyone who starts a record collection should have like X amount of records.
Yeah.
I can get those for you too. You know.
Yeah.
So
I saw some Miley Cyrus in the bin over there. So
yeah,
you got
cool,
like everything. Yeah.
And straight up, like Taylor Swift is my number one. Like I just hit a year in September. So like I got like a whole year report of like my top selling SKUs or whatever. It's like I think 4 out of the top 5 are Taylor Swift.
Wow.
So it's like hell yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that forever because, especially like everyone likes her, whatever. But if it is more kids who are into that, if you're a high school kid who's coming into my shop for the first time or getting into this world,
yeah,
like let me be the one who gets you Taylor Swift, and maybe eventually it'll be always come to me and like I can get you whatever else too, or like here's all these other avenues you can walk down.
Yeah.
That.
But, yeah, because I mean, not to keep harping on Taylor Swift. My wife's a huge Taylor Swift fan, so I know about
She's
it.
universally undefeated.
Yeah. Well, but I was gonna say like some of her earlier stuff is like more country, so you could like go off of that, or like some of the then it turns into like, I don't know, more electronic. But then the Evermore and the Folklore is more like folk music, so you could go off of a ton of stuff off of that.
Well, even like her newer stuff, like what's the homie's name from the National, Adam? Whatever.
Oh, yeah, they got
so like that's an avenue
like,
too. Like, hey, you like this new Taylor record? That's great. We got it for you in all these different colors.
Bon Iver's on those tracks. Some of those
here's
tracks.
this Bon Iver record, yeah. And if you like that, maybe here's this, whatever. Like you can go down the rabbit holes all these different ways. And I think I'm super into that. Like my niece is 13. She lives in town. That's what I like. I kind of curate, or not curate, but like when I forecast into the future of like who my future demographic and customers are. Like I hope it's my niece who's 13 now, but one day she'll be 23, 33, 43. Like, come to, like, I can help you find all the stuff you want.
Yeah.
And you never have to feel weird about, like, whatever you walk in the door is asking for, it's like, hell yeah, I'll get it for you. If I don't already have it, I'll find it for you.
Yeah.
And, like, I want that relationship to always keep building and snowballing. It's like, we can get all the stuff you want.
Yeah.
When you started off liking this, now you like everything, you know?
Yeah. When you started off doing the pop-ups and then also the brick and mortar, were you selling, like, your own records that you had, or did you? Okay.
For sure. It's a weird thing now, like, at home, my friend Jess, who works at Little Owl behind us, she gave me a little plant. I don't even remember what kind of plant it is. Like a little tiny guy, like a little owl mug. But I told her in passing, like, I don't have any plants at the house anymore because all my plants I brought to the shop. And same with the records. Like, all my records were the used bin when I first opened. But I'm here like all the hours of the day.
Yeah.
I pretty much live in the shop, so like all my personal stuff, like all my plants, all my records, probably gone now, but they're in the shop.
Yeah. That's awesome. I feel like I've come to that point in collecting records. It's been over 10 years now, but where it's like some of the stuff I could see myself purging and getting rid of, but then other stuff I'm like, I can never get rid of this. You know?
I do have a bin in the back of like, these are Dylan's records. Like, they're probably never going to be for sale. I don't even play them. They're just like, I remember like when I got them, where I got them.
Yeah.
And some are pretty valuable, like that George Harrison one. That's on like the lower, whatever. But like, I've got a handful of records in the back. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to really part with them. They're kind of just like my personal, like, they're like my weird toys.
Yeah. No, totally.
But they are like if you're a record dork, like those are the ones you want. I'm not ready to part with them yet.
Yeah. And I heard you telling the first customer that came in that you're participating in Record Store Day for the first time.
Yeah, Black Friday. That'll be cool.
This is not going to be out by Black Friday, but
no, it's fine.
Yeah, I'll post and like let people know that you're doing
No,
it.
it's crazy because like I worked at a record store in North Carolina for a few years, and they're like old school store.
Yeah.
And they were like militantly opposed to Record Store Day.
Yeah.
Like, it's a cash grab. Fuck those dudes. It's all just guys coming in too early to buy everything from us and flip it online the next day. And I believe that too. But it's the same thing with like the Taylor Swift or Gatekeeper thing. Like at the same time, like two things can be true at the same time. Like,
yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit of a cash grab. Not for me, but for the resellers.
Yeah.
But also, like, if that's going to get someone to come into my shop for the first time, or like if that's going to be the first record that gets a new vinyl customer excited, I'm going to get that stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my record. It's not my ego that matters. But yeah, Record Store Day, this will be the first time I'm eligible to do it. It's been a very confusing and complicated ordering process.
Yeah.
But actually, like this morning, like 5 a.m, they finally emailed me my receipt. Because like, there's been like all this money in my bank account floating.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not really my money. I pressed this order. Because like, you can't hold stuff. You can't pre-order stuff. So like, if you wanted whatever title from Record Store Day, like I couldn't guarantee I could get it for you.
Yeah.
It's like weird politics or like weird rules, which kind of fly against my normal ethos of those kind of things. But I got pretty much everything I ordered, and I pretty much only ordered what my real regulars wanted.
Yeah.
Like everyone should be able to get what they want, because you can't hold stuff, you can't set stuff aside.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool because like it's nice to see my store name on Record Store Day's website. Like, you know, the Illinois Entertainer, like the magazine that comes out once a month that tells you where you can see all the cover bands throughout the state.
Yeah.
Like I'm listed on there too. It's cool to see your name in print. Like they're participating in Record Store Day. it'll be nice. So I've hit up like a couple stores in Oak Park and a couple Wicker Park record stores. And buddies will like just message them like, hey, is RSE worth it? What do you think? And everyone says like, yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, it's nice to like, yeah, like you said. I mean, it may be someone's first time to your shop, and then that can be a regular from that point forward.
Yeah, everyone, what's it say, like the first step of a journey or whatever. Like everyone's got to take the first step.
Yeah.
It's like if record store day is that step for somebody, like cool, man. I have all that stuff too.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories of people getting like stuck with stock, but like it sounds like you were like pretty.
I tried to be like
keen on
I have a relatively shoestring budget for orders, so I was very mindful of that for record store day. So that's why like two of my bandmates, a couple of my really good regulars, like all the record dorks that I know, I'm like, what do you really want? I'll order what you want. And I kind of like I put it out there for the general public, like, hey, we're doing it, but I pretty much just ordered what I knew was going to sell.
Yeah.
Because, we get stuck with some, in that day, it's valuable, but like 6 months later, it's just a record.
Yeah.
But like that day, it's worth more money.
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were talking about working on a shoestring budget, but if you didn't have to worry about money, what would be your like ultimate goal?
I would love to knock out this wall.
Yeah.
just expand. I love the building I'm in. My landlord's really chill. I like my neighbors. I would like to have a bigger store so I could do like more full band shows or bigger events.
Yeah.
Like tonight we have that watercolor class, but we cap it at 8 people. Because I have 2 folding tables. I can only fit 2 6-foot tables in here. So however many people that can fit, that's what we cap our events off at.
Yeah.
So if money was no object, I would have double the square footage. But also, like, I would have, every time when a random person comes in and wants to sell me their records, I'd just be able to say yes to everything.
Yeah.
And then, I guess, like, for big things like all the Beatle reissues, Pink Floyd, Tom Petty, all like the big names, all the Taylor Swift stuff, if I had the budget, I would have like 10 copies of each.
Yeah, just like on hand.
Like 1 or 2 of each.
Yeah.
But I would love to just be able to like, no, I've got 10,000 records here and they're all bangers.
Yeah.
But now I have to be more like mindfully curated for sure.
Is there anything that you've learned like since you've been doing this that you wish you would have known, or that you could like tell somebody who's like starting a record store in, some suburb outside of New York or whatever?
Yeah. No, it's tough. Like when I first opened, like I was saying before, like I was only new stuff, no used.
Yeah.
I don't know if part of that was ego or whatever, but like there is just straight up, there's not a lot of money in new records.
Yeah, I know the margins
really
are tight. Yeah.
Margins really low. In used records, you can always be the kind of person who just charges too much.
Yeah.
But I try to be like really like, I do stake my reputation. Like I'm very conservatively priced.
Yeah.
I'm a median price guy. I don't go like highest price sold or whatever.
Yeah.
No, I would just say be born from money, be born rich. No, I just find your niche. Like as I get going here, like I know as I get to know like my customer base more.
Yeah.
It's like I can always sell jazz and blues stuff, new or used, reissue or original. I'll sell a lot of jazzy kind of stuff and all the boomer kind of stuff like Neil Young, Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones. All that stuff is always cool.
Yeah.
But I would say learn your customer base. If I was in a different neighborhood or whatever, maybe I would focus more on like house music or disco or country records, whatever. But
it's gotta
definitely trying to find your
be flexible.
Yeah.
Be flexible, but learn.
Yeah. Be adaptable.
Yeah, be adaptable for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so through opening and everything with the community of record stores, have you been able to reach out to other shops and like sort of like ask questions and like have like a mentor in the process of opening a shop?
A little bit. I've got a friend who lives here, but she's also friends with one of the record stores in Oak Park, one of their owners. So it's Valhalla in Oak Park.
Yeah.
I think they just turned like 52.
Oh, wow. I've heard of them. I've never been.
Yeah, they're like OGs for sure. But their new owner, Shane, he's like our age, a little older, but he's worked there since he was like in high school. And then the original owner died a couple years ago, I think. He took over. So he's been a cool, like, I've sent, like, there's sometimes people come in and ask for a record I don't have. Like, who probably has that is that store 20 minutes away that has 10,000 records.
Yeah. So
I'll shoot them some messages every once in a while on social media, like, do you have this? I got a customer asking for it. Or, like, for Record Store Day, he's one of the, like, like I was saying before, like I worked in record stores before who were very anti-record store day.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my shop. So like now that I get to call the shots, he's someone I've leaned on for sure. Like, what do you think about this? Like, what are the pros and cons? And pretty much overwhelming. Like, we're all candid with each other. Like, we're all competitors, but we're also different. Like, whatever I have here, you don't have at your store. Whatever you have, I don't have.
Yeah.
It's like, even there could be, like, when Taylor Swift comes out with a new record, we both have it.
Mm-hmm.
But our used selection is always unique and one of a kind. So I've reached out to them a few times just for some questions, like, who are your reps? Or, like, I'm not getting good terms from this wholesaler. Who do I need to talk to? And, like, he's pretty cool. Like, oh, don't email them. Email this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you'll get better rates this way. Because I think in general, there's enough pie for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're also, like, you know, it's a 20-minute car ride away. So, like, that's far enough for most people to not make that trip.
Yeah.
But I think if we both want to be record stores that can continue to exist and be open, we both need the other one to also be good.
Yeah.
Like, there's enough room for everyone. Like, we can't just be one store for all. You know?
Yeah. I mean, definitely the more, I mean, to a certain extent you can oversaturate it, but the more there are, the more it, like, creates a buzz. And then, yeah.
For sure, because, like, if you're, you know, again, like, it's 20 minutes away, so, like, it's a far enough distance where, like, maybe you're in that part of town randomly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you know where I'm actually from is Brookfield, and there's a new shop here. And the other way, too. Like, I know you're visiting from out of town, but you live over there, you should go check those guys out when you're back home.
Yeah.
So, like, it's better that we both exist, and it's not super, like, cutthroat.
That's
competitive, for sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know, like, yeah, in the, like, craft beer world, everyone's pretty, there's, like, a camaraderie between everybody. So I was just curious if it was. Yeah,
well, that's how it is in breweries, for sure. Like, most of the time, brewers go drink at other breweries.
Yeah.
They invite, like, I want you to come drink at try my new beer.
Yeah.
And, like, next week when your beer's out, I'm going to come try yours, too, and get excited about it.
Yeah.
And there's some friendly competition, for sure. Like,
yeah.
If you make a really good Goza or IPA, it's going to motivate me to, like, now we got to make a good West Coast IPA because you just made a good one.
We got to up our game.
Yeah.
That kind of
so that's, like, a healthy competition, for sure.
Yeah. All right, so next we're going to go into rapid fire. But before that, I just wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there anything that you wished I would have asked you about that you wanted to get out there?
No, man. Just I need people to come shop here and give me a lot of money.
And how can people find you?
Instagram, for sure. I'm always on Instagram at Vines and Vinyl Chicago. That's like, I post a million pictures a day in general, but stories.
Yeah.
Like, if we have, I do a lot of flash sales. Like, hey, if you see this story, 20% off today only, but you got to mention this story. So, like, follow me on Instagram, and that's where I post about new products we get in, new records, new shirts, new plants, shop events, like this tattoo pop-up or bands playing. It's going to be on Instagram stories.
Yeah.
At Vines of Vinyl Chicago. I make TikToks.
Oh, that's something I have not gotten into.
I
made like 2, and I was like, I'm done.
You know what's tough? My Instagram's a business account.
Yeah.
So you can't choose music that you want.
Oh.
So, like, if I want to make a video of, like, this, whatever, Donny Osmond record, I can't choose a Donny Osmond song on Instagram because I'm a business page.
Wow,
But
I
if
didn't
I
know
go
that.
on TikTok, every song you want is available. So I'll make a TikTok video of, like, whatever album I have. Choose my favorite song from the album. So that's a cool way, too. Like, you find me on TikTok, like, I'm going to help you. I'm going to turn you on to, like, not the A side, but here's a B side from this album that I think sounds cool. I'm like, oh, man, I've seen that album before, but I never heard that song. But then I save that video and repost it on Instagram.
Yeah, and you are just like a half a block from the Brookfield Metro, and like I said, less than a mile from the zoo. So if you guys are out in this area, pretty easy to get to. Post office.
3730 Prairie Avenue. Yeah, right across from the post office. Right down the block from Irish Times, the world's greatest Irish pub. They just won an award. I think that's.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go.
They make good tacos.
Oh, really?
They make awesome tacos. It doesn't make any sense.
It's ironic, but fortunate. Sorry, so the rapid fire questions. Favorite beverage? It doesn't have to be alcoholic or anything.
Water.
All right, number 2. A song you think everyone should listen to? And I'll preface it by saying I'm making a Spotify playlist of everyone's answers.
Okay.
And it could be anything that you think people would like, or maybe it's just your thing and you want to put someone out. Preferably on Spotify.
Long-Haired Child by Devangel Barnhart.
Okay.
I think has the coolest fuzz guitar effect ever. but it's not a fuzzy ass song. It's in the background. But that's the coolest guitar tone ever. And the song's called Long Haired Child.
All right.
I don't have it in stock. It's just a good song.
That'll be on there. Number 3, favorite concert you've been to?
Oh, man. Okay, yeah. Years ago, I went to like a street festival in the city, and everybody got rained out. And like it was like Randolph Street Fest.
Yeah.
Like maybe a tornado came through. Everyone got canceled, the whole thing. But me and my brother and our bandmate at the time, we just hung around. And eventually, like the clouds parted and Dr. Dog came on.
Oh.
And they played to like us. Like it's supposed to be, they were like the headliner for the whole Street Fest.
Yeah.
Like a tornado, whatever it was. But yeah, Dr. Dog, 2012 maybe.
Yeah.
At Randolph Street Fest to like me and 5 other people.
That's awesome.
And they dominated. Yeah, it was great.
And they played like it was
They
like
ruled, yeah.
thousands of people.
Yeah, for sure. And like everyone had to go home because of the tornado, but we stuck around.
That's awesome. All right, so number 4, favorite place to have a drink or favorite place you've had a drink?
That's a good question too. Well, whatever, man. Like one time.
No, I mean, this question has elicited some like pretty good responses. So I like.
Yeah, I went the summer I turned 22. I spent a few weeks in Germany. I grew up with a foreign exchange student who was like a senior in high school when I was in 4th grade. So when I turned 22, I like found her on Facebook. Like, hey, let me come stay with you for a while. Like, return the favor. And she I stayed with her and her husband. We went to some music festival in Germany, and maybe like the 2nd or 3rd night, like we ate a bunch of mushrooms and like stood on a mountaintop and drank warm German beer and like watched the sun come up.
Yeah,
it's pretty dope.
What part of Germany was that?
Where was that? There, where'd she live? Heidelberg. Yeah, I think southern Germany.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, and number 5. I hate using this word now because we've just been talking about like a no judgment zone and for people asking about music.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite guilty pleasure for music?
You know what's funny about that is like I don't really believe in guilty pleasures because I sell a lot of Taylor Swift. But like I feel like in this current era and like we're old enough, like I love the Beatles so much.
Yeah.
I almost feel like Paul McCartney's a guilty pleasure. Like I love Paul McCartney. He's my musical, hairstyle, fashion, lodestar, spiritual guy. Like I love Paul McCartney. I'm like an unapologetic solo Paul McCartney fan.
Very good.
Like cheesy ass. I love Wings.
That's funny. All right, man. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on. And I'll give you one last chance to say anything.
Just support your local record stores. You know, like Vines of Vinyl. We're in Brookfield. Come hang out. We're always here. Like if I don't have it here, I'll get it for you later. Like let's do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good words to end on. All right, and as I always say, until next time, try a new beer and listen to some new music. Cheers.